Tubies, it's Luna. It's been a long while. My life is kind of hectic right now, and since about 2011, it's been just a hot mess. But I am picking up where I left off on my Wicca year in a day training. Um, Today's training is day 42, and it is calling on the provider. And if you remember from the last video, the provider is pretty much the father figure of the God aspect. Was to be observant of others and to take actions because actions were needed, not because you needed a reward. So to do things that would benefit other people instead of just yourself, and how that makes me feel. And usually it makes me feel a little frustrated if I'm doing something that I'm not going to be praised for. But that's because I'm a little conceited and kind of selfish, so that might be why. But for the most part, I helped my mom clean the kitchen and make sure all the dishes were clean and things, and spent time with my children since it's the weekend and that's when I have my kids. And, yeah, I feel complacent. I always feel complacent. I always feel a sense of joy, especially if I'm doing something for me that benefits my children mostly. And I don't feel anything negative for helping other people because they need the help, and I'm actually not seeking a reward from that. So it's something, I guess now that I'm nearing 30, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, sometimes you just got to put your big girl pants on and do what you got to do. So that's pretty much how the provider aspect is. Another part of the exercise was to speak to your dad or a father figure and see what makes them tick and how the conversation that you had would guide you. While I do have a dad, and I do now have a relationship with my dad, I don't see him as my father figure. The reason being is I grew up with an abusive stepfather from the age of 2 until he committed suicide when I was 13. And the one who was more of a father figure to me than even my stepdad was my older brother. And my older brother, which I spoke to him today because I'm trying to get him to let me move into his house so I can move out of my mom's house. And my brother's already moved out of his house, so he's renting it out. So I'm trying to convince him that he can count on me, sort of, maybe. But his words today were pretty much, you got to do what you got to do. I already know what makes my brother tick. My brother is one of those guys who tries to avoid drama, but always seems to have drama because sometimes he just makes really bad decisions. He's also one of those people who's really compassionate and wants to help out everybody. When I talk to him, it's more along the lines of how he's doing, how his business is doing, and everything. So the only thing that I could see as a guidance is to get your shit together and put it in order, or you're going to be stressed the hell out all day, every day. And I was supposed to see if maybe anything he said made me uncomfortable or anything, but I can talk to my brother about anything, just about. My siblings and I are actually really close, so that's never an issue. And then the last bit of the exercise was to think about family life and what is your relationship with the father figure or your dad. And my dad kind of bailed on me, mostly because he didn't want to create drama. But as a small child, that was kind of hard and kind of stupid. Mostly because since my stepdad was abusive and controlling, my stepdad pretty much threatened my biological dad. And my bio dad didn't want any issues, so he just kind of backed off. And that created a rift that lasted many, many years. At about 15 was when I was 14. I was 14, and I saw him for the very first time since being an infant, um, or a toddler, because we moved to the States when I was about 3.5, 4, for Puerto Rico, and so I don't have an issue with my dad now. When I finally got all of my anger and rage out when I was about 15, he finally realized the mistakes that he had made in being a father to me. So now he's, now we're cool. Now, we're decent human beings, and I do love my dad. But he wasn't the one who raised me. He wasn't the one who took care of me. He may have been there financially, but he wasn't there emotionally. And the one who was there emotionally was my brother. My brother, um, who had also suffered the same abuse that I did by our stepdad. My brother was the one who could understand me and be there for me. And whenever I had an issue, any issue, my brother was the one who I would go to. And so my relationship with my brother as my father figure is that he is a provider in more ways than one. And I guess one of the parallels between me and my brother and I, bad English, is that we try and help out everybody before we help ourselves. And that's usually why there's drama. And we're compassionate and loving and caring and things like that. And that's where I draw my parallels with my brother. Anyway, this is a nice, short and sweet type of exercise. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. Brightest blessing.